Radha Jai Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Janavallabha Jai Gopi Janavallabha Jai Girivardhari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Janavallabha Jai Girivardhari Yashodhanandana Braja Ranjana Yashodhanandana Braja Ranjana Yashodhanandana Braja Ranjana Jamuna Tiravanachari Jamuna Tiravanachari Jai Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Radhanath Radha Radhanath Radhe Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya, Giri Govardhan Jaya, Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Jai Om Vishnu Para Paramhamsa Parivracharya Sutasara Shila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sekho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Radhanath Ki Jai Shriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai Shri Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Go Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, dear devotees, today's topic is harnessing the mind. And we're going to read from Srimad Bhagavad Gita 6:34, which reads like this. Chanchalam himana Krishna pramiti balavad dridam tashyaham nigraham manye vayur eva su duskaram. Translation. For the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna, and to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The mind is so strong and obstinate that it sometimes overcomes the intelligence, although the mind is supposed to be subservient to the intelligence. For a man in the practical world who has to fight so many opposing elements, it is certainly very difficult to control the mind. Artificially, one may establish a mental equilibrium towards both friend and enemy, but ultimately no worldly man can do so. For this is more difficult than controlling the raging wind. In Vedic literature, Katha Upanishad 1.3.3 and 1.3.4, it is said, Atmanam ratinam vidhi, sariram ratam evacha, buddhim tu saritam vidhi, mana pragarham evacha. Indriyani hanya ahur vishayam teshu gocharan. Atmendriya manoyuktam bhokte ahur manisha sana. The individual is a passenger in the car of the material body, and the intelligence is the driver. Mind is the driving instrument, and the senses are the horses. The self is thus the enjoyer or sufferer in the association of the mind and senses. So it is understood by great thinkers, intelligence is supposed to direct the mind, but the mind is so strong and obstinate that it often overcomes one's own intelligence. As an accurate infection may surpass the efficacy of medicine, such a strong mind is supposed to be controlled by the practice of yoga, but such practice is never practical in a worldly person like Arjuna. And what can we say of modern man? The simile used here is appropriate. One cannot capture the blowing wind, and it is even more difficult to capture the turbulent mind. The easiest way to control the mind, as suggested by Lord Chaitanya, is chanting Hare Krishna, the great mantra for deliverance in all humility. The method prescribed is Savaimana Krishna Pararavindayo. One must engage one's mind fully in Krishna. Only then will there remain no other engagement to agitate the mind. So we come to the end of the purport, and just like to say a few things about this obstinate mind that we all have. So we see, dear devotees, how often we succumb to the mind's demands. Although we know that it's the wrong thing to do, the mind says, go here, do this, do that, and we do as the mind dictates. The mind say, whatever the mind says, we succumb to it. We're all guilty of doing something not Krishna conscious at some stage or the other, right? In this verse, it stated that the intelligence is the driver of the mind. So how intelligent are we depends on the level of surrender. We should surrender to the dictations of Srila Prabhupada, Guru and Shastra, and not the mind which is uncontrolled. The uncontrolled mind will lead us to our degradation. That's for sure, right? We should always check our actions and see how we are progressing in Krishna consciousness. So this is introspection. We should always check ourselves. Like, how many times have we surrendered to the mind's demands rather than to Guru? Every time we allow the mind to do something that is not in line with Shastra or Guru Parampara, we commit aparad or a sinful action. So we should always introspect and check ourselves. What am I doing? How can I use this mind in Krishna consciousness, right? So when we commit aparad, Krishna will take us far away from the association of devotees. Because we're always finding faults with devotees, with the movement, with so many things. So how to undo this, right? We should find the good things to say about the same person that has caused us harm. Right? Try to find some good, and you will find good things to say about anyone. So instead of, it's like the fly likes to look for all the bad, right? All the pus and all those obnoxious things. But the swan, it will look for all the good, right? It can remove the milk from water. So it takes the good, the essence of everything. So we should be like the swan and not be like the fly, right? So, even though we do not want to do it, we don't want to say good things about anyone, right? Because the mind is like that. But just do it because it'll make you a better person. Krishna will be pleased, Srila Prabhupada will be pleased, and, Guru will be pleased. So just do it. Whatever situation we find ourselves in, think it to be the mercy of the Lord, that he has ordained this for my spiritual growth. Now, in the Bhagavatam 1.15.24 purport, Prabhupada says that not even a blade of grass moves without the sanction of the Supreme Lord. As soon as we surrender, then Krishna directly intervenes in our life, and he tailor makes our means of purification according to the anarthas in the heart, right? The Lord wants us to be free from all contaminations, but we are so we don't want to remove the anarthas from our heart, or some of us do, and that's why we're chanting Hare Krishna. But when the purification comes, we don't like that, right? It is said that to clean a diamond that's filled with dust and grime, they put it into a barrel and they rotate the barrel, and what happens? The diamonds, they clash against each other, and that's how it becomes purified, and it comes out sparkling. So similarly, devotees, we are also like diamonds. We are also sparkling. But now that we're in this material world, we are covered with all the dust and the grime of the anarthas in the heart. So we have to purify us, and Krishna puts us in the process, right, of this barrel, puts us in the association of devotees. So when we clash with the devotees, when there is some altercation, with the devotees, that's the purificatory process. So instead of blaspheming the devotee or holding a grudge against the devotee, we can see it as Krishna's arrangement, Krishna's hand in it, right? Oh, so Krishna, this was you, right? Trying to purify me. That is why you told me like this, and this is why you did this. So on one hand, we cannot blaspheme the devotee because every devotee is very dear to Krishna. And when you blaspheme the devotee, it shatters the heart of Krishna, right? On the other hand, I'm hurting when things don't go right. Then we blame this person or that person told me this and this person told me that, and we hurt inside. But it's all Krishna's arrangement to actually purify us. See, when we go through this hurting process, when the heart is, pierced, basically, then that is a purificatory process. That is when our heart is becoming purified. But we don't see it like that. We just want to blame it on this one and that one. So what do we do in situations like this? So we need to surrender. Oh, my Lord, I don't know why you have placed me in this position. I don't know what your plan is, but I know it's the best for me. Not that I am such a good devotee. I give so much donations to the temple, and now I have to go through this. No, we shouldn't think like that. Krishna doesn't need our donations because he is self-sufficient. ISKCON will still survive. Krishna will make plans for other donors to donate, right? And their hearts will become purified by the making that donation. So, we shouldn't think like this, because whatever is happening is ordained by Krishna. You should think like this: Krishna, if this makes you happy, then let it be. I am just a puppet in your hands. Most of us don't like being used by the Lord, by Krishna. Why? Because we are still immersed in the disposition that I am boss. In spiritual life, no one is boss. Everyone is servant. Nitya Nichanam Cheta Chetananam. So everyone is servant of Krishna. That's our eternal constitutional position, right? To be always the servant of Krishna. And that's not going to change today or tomorrow or any time. At any time, it's not going to change. We are always going to remain the servant of Krishna. So Lord Chaitanya in his Shastakami says, Trinadapi Sunichena, Tarorapi Sahisuna, Amani Namanadena, Kirtaniya Sadahari. So when we are going through the difficulties, we can remember this verse: to be more humble than a blade of grass, to be more tolerant than a tree. The tree is standing there in all weather conditions. The blade of grass is being trampled upon, but it does not retaliate, right? So you may say, well, I cannot be like that. Yes, at the beginning, we cannot be like that, but we have to practice humility. So we can try. It won't happen overnight, right? But we need to be humble. Why? Because this is a prerequisite for entering the spiritual world. Krishna don't want any riffraffs in the spiritual world. No. For anyone who has a contaminated heart filled with lust, anger, greed, madness, illusion, and envy, he doesn't want that. It is sometimes said that ISKCON is like a hospital to get rid of all the disease from the heart. And it is so. We are all in a disease condition. Can we say that our hearts are clean? No. Why? Because it's full of all these anarthas, right? We have the 6 enemies in the heart that I just told you now, right? So we need to get rid of that. So basically in the spiritual warrior, Bhaktivedanta Swami, he says how to deal, because the mind is close to the heart, right? and how to deal with the enemies of the heart. He says these 6 enemies are lurking and they're waiting for an opportunity to strike. As soon as we get lackadaisical, they swiftly attack. Many mental breakdowns deal with the mindset of lust because unsatisfied lust turns into anger and bewilderment of memory, confusion, and so on. For some people, it causes them to experience neurosis, psychosis, schizophrenia, and all of these things. So what are these, right? So neurosis is a state of mental or physical reaction that are drastic and irrational. Irrational. Psychosis is a severe mental disorder that causes abnormal thinking and perception. Symptoms are delusion and hallucination. Schizophrenia, disruptions in the thought process, perceptions, etc. So basically, these are the mental illnesses that people suffer from today. Maharaj says that some people experience so much anger that it turns to hypertension, ulcers, and physical diseases in the body, and even depression. This is because we're too self-centered. I want to enjoy. I am great. I am this, and I am that. We need to relinquish selfishness or playing God. We play God when we see ourselves as superior and most important. So these are all Maharaj's words, right? So when we see ourselves as, important and, I'm it, basically, right? So basically that's playing God. We want to be God, right? All of us want to be God. We have this mentality. That is why we come here to this material world, because we want to be God. So Krishna says, okay, go and see if you can be God, be me, right? So Krishna sends us here. So, but we know that we failed many times. We cannot be God, right? In some devotee communities, although we know that our constitutional position is as servants of Krishna, right? But we still want to see ourselves superior. Bhakti Swami says that depression is the #1 killer in the world. People become suicidal, right? And he gives 32 ways to deal with depression in the Spiritual Warrior, his book. We won't go through that right now, but we can buy the book online. Take a lot and, krishna.com, like that. You can buy those books. Because it gives us practical application, practical means to apply in our spiritual lives in order to help us, be better devotees. So he says the solution to this is forgiveness, right? When someone does something to us, we need to forgive them. It's not very easy to do, right? Like Jesus Christ, when he was being nailed on the cross, he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do, because he had higher intelligence. That is why he could do like this. But can we say that? No, it's very difficult for us to say that, right? And Bhakti Swami says, mindfulness and forgiveness can free us from the state of depression and mental challenges. If we have a mindset that the Lord has made all arrangements for us, it will also help us see how the Lord has come forward in difficult times. And he says that when we forgive, it releases us from all anxieties. When we don't forgive, you are practically punishing yourself for someone else's mistake, right? Because then you basically harbor resentment and hatefulness, and these cause diseases in your body. So you need to forgive, because we all are put in this material world and we're not perfect. So there will be some altercations between devotees. But we need, because they're devotees and they're dear to Krishna, we need to forgive each other and carry on. Otherwise, we cannot make any progress in our spiritual lives. So I just want to read something to you from Bhakti Tirtha Swami's book, The Spiritual Warrior, page 171. And it's entitled, let me just go to it, The Dark Night of the Soul. So this will take a few minutes. Please bear with me. But it's very interesting, and we'll see what Maharaj says in his book. So this is taken out from a Christian theology, right? The Christian theology has a term called the dark night of the soul, originally coined by a 16th century Spanish saint known as Saint John of the Cross. He describes this dark night as a period of serious testing for all seekers on the spiritual path. At certain times during our spiritual progress, we may go through periods of rapid advancement and growth, although we may find it hard to perceive the situation in this positive way. We might reach a point in our lives when we begin to think, I am chanting, meditating, praying, fasting, reading the scriptures, visiting the temples, church, a synagogue or mosque, and following the spiritual laws and principles, but I am miserable. Where is God? At this point, the person even begins to seriously doubt God's mercy and attentiveness. Such a person might feel that even God has forsaken him. We can look at this situation in a more graphic way because our advancement is not necessarily vertical. We normally advance, but then work through certain challenges at a particular level until we make advancement on the next level. Sometimes we may face certain obstacles that take time to work through, and consequently, we feel stagnant. We may even feel that God himself is not protecting us. However, at such times, the Lord is actually ready to elevate our consciousness and bring us closer to him so that he gives us certain obstacles or blocks in our lives that we have to transcend. He may give us problems as a way to speed up our evolution so that we can more quickly burn up negative reactions and move forward more expediently. St. John explains that this dark night of the soul manifests as a type of internal dryness or aridity. When a spiritual seeker first embarks on the spiritual path, he or she often experiences an initial taste and excitement for the prayers, rituals, songs, and dances associated with the worship of God. However, this initial joy often stems from pride or self-centeredness that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti refers to as utsahamahi, or sudden enthusiasm. However, after a period of time, the Lord wants to help us. The Lord wants to help his devotee become more genuine so that he takes away the initial false pleasure, leaving the devotee in a state of internal dryness and without any taste. St. John explains that very few souls actually make it through this test because as soon as this so-called spiritual excitement dwindles, most people run back to material pleasures. However, if we understand the purpose of the dark night, we will feel excited at the very thought of transcending so many of our old patterns and limitations. The dark night of the soul can lead to depression if a person does not understand the reason for it. But the dark night is not an ordinary depression. Although its symptoms may mirror depression, St. John makes a distinction between ordinary depression and the dark night of the soul. It is actually an arrangement made by the Lord himself to help a person with deep faith and determination to go deeper. Depression, on the other hand, may just result from excessive attachment, lack of faith, laziness, and so on. The dark night of the soul is an extraordinary opportunity for the faithful soul rather than a demoralizing depression. Reflect on a time in your own spiritual journey in which you felt abandoned by God. Although you initially felt this way, you later found out that not only had God not abandoned you, but he was actually giving you some special mercy during that time. We often experience depression or anxiety when we feel that the Lord has abandoned us, or when we cannot understand the events in our lives. If you look back through your life, you may even recall times when you have in fact experienced such a period and began to question God's existence or his fairness. However, when you look back now, you realize the purpose of such events because they helped you elevate your consciousness. Often the result of intense suffering is elevation in consciousness. Such suffering gives us the intensity to break through the last layers of mundane consciousness. So this is Bhakti Tirtha Swami, very elevated soul. And, he's written many books that we can all benefit from. And I felt this was so enlightening because he's very well read, and he brings all these, even from the Bible, he brings from other scriptures, into Krishna consciousness, and just to make a point and help us struggling sadhakas, struggling devotees. So, dear devotees, if we chant our 16 rounds and see the Lord's hand in everything, then that happens to us. We will be peaceful, enthusiastic, and determined to carry on the process of Krishna consciousness as instituted by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In conclusion, I'd just like to say that we, as the soul, as a passenger of the car of this material body, with the assistance of the intelligence, we can take the steering wheel, the mind, and drive this car of the material body to its rightful destination, back home, back to Godhead. Thank you so much for listening to me babbling on, but I really appreciate your attendance to this class. So now if you'd like to say something, you're most welcome to do so. Or if you would like to ask a question, I'll try to answer to the best of my ability. Thank you. Denton, would you like to say something?
Hare Krishna, dear Mataji. Thank you very, very much for your wonderful class. Your explanations are so clear and enlightening, and I'm not able to have any questions. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. No questions at the moment. I found that very enlightening, and I could apply a lot of what was learned tonight to my own personal life. And yes, I found it very thought-provoking. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Charmaine, anything from you?
Charmaine is not feeling well, so she's not attending at the moment.
Oh, okay. All right. Anyone else would like to say something? Nalina? You can unmute and you can speak. Or Krishna Loka Mataji? Rasaraj Prabhu, you share with us some of your experiences in Krishna consciousness. Rasaraj Prabhu is a very senior devotee in ISKCON, and I'd like to hear from you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, and thank you for the wonderful topic, harnessing the mind. And, in chapter 6, even Lord Krishna agrees with Arjuna that, the mind is indeed strong and obstinate. And then he says, but by practice and detachment, it is possible to control the mind. And also, he states that Vyavastatika Buddhi Ika Kurunandana. And I also tie that verse up with the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 2, text 14, Tasmat Ikanamanasa Bhagavan Sakvatam Pati Shatavyo Kritivyascha Diyapujas Chanitjada. And just with one pointed attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is a protector of the devotees. So just by, focused hearing and chanting, the mind can be controlled. That's the remedy for the age in Kali Yuga. Thank you for the wonderful example, of the diamond, in the barrel, and sure by regular, by association, we can. Association is the way of advancement. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Prabhu, for your wise words. I really appreciate that. And yes, Rasaraj Prabhu has been in the Pujari department for many, many years. And, he has lots of experience in Krishna consciousness. So thank you so much for that, Rasaraj Prabhu. I really appreciate that. Anyone else? Paramatma Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Mataji, thank you for the wonderful class. Mataji, there is a comment in the chat box from Nalina Sugolam. Hare Krishna, Mataji, thank you for such a profound and informative program tonight. It has really been enlightening and I learned a lot. Haribol.
Oh, thank you, Nalina.
Yeah, Mataji, thank you also so much. You explained everything so nicely and easy for us to understand. Now it's just to follow. We got to have a lot of discipline and, and we have to carry on like that. Thank you so much, Mataji. I just wanted to ask you a quick question about parampara. You mentioned the importance of parampara. So how do we bring that into our everyday life? And how do we acknowledge or appreciate parampara?
Firstly, we should start by appreciating our guru, right? Because he's part of the parampara. And he's bringing the message down to us and Srila Prabhupada as well. And in this way, whenever there's appearance days of one of the personalities like Bhaktivinoda Thakur or, Jagannath Das Babaji or any one of the parampara devotees that's coming in line in the parampara, we should observe the fasting and we should pray to them on those days to please be merciful to us so we can make spiritual advancement. And yes, they will certainly give us their mercy because we are following in their line, and they will definitely give us mercy for us to progress on our spiritual path. So yes, so the parampara is actually very made up of very great devotees who are coming in line with Krishna's teachings. So from Krishna down right up to Srila Prabhupada, all these personalities are very, very great personalities because they have actually brought these teachings to us without distorting the message of the Bhagavad Gita or the Puranas, Srimad Bhagavatam, like that. So we should take advantage of these scriptures, because nothing is adulterated and in the scriptures, and nothing is speculation. So it's coming as the Lord has spoken it. It's coming to us just like that. So in order for us to make advancement in our spiritual life, we should acknowledge the parampara, the personalities in the parampara, and pray to them on the appearance day, and certain, and fast also, half a day fast. In this way, we can acknowledge them like that. So yeah, that's what I have to say about the parampara. I hope that answers your question, Paramatma.
Hare Krishna, Maji, thank you so much. It definitely did. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we'll just end with a short kirtan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Radhe Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Shila Prabhupada ki Jai. Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, dear devotee.